We're gonna lean right into day 6, where it starts off by saying we did it. We did it.
Yeah, man.
The last day we have walked through what it means to be a believer of Jesus Christ, to read his word, pray, and be a part of his church. So now what? What do you do with all of this? First, you continue to learn, grow, and be a part of a community of believers.
Right.
But now it's also up to you to help others join you on this new adventure.
And it will be an adventure.
Yeah, it will be an adventure. Let's view it from a different angle. Ask yourself this question. What if I had the cure for cancer? Woo! Wow. I love this. Mm-hmm. It seems like a heavy question, but really think about it. What if I had the knowledge to cure millions of people and save lives from being disrupted by the horrible disease? Wow. Would I keep it to myself?
Of course not.
Of course not. Of course not. Similarly, as Christians, we carry the hope of the world. We carry the hope of the world.
We do.
Not just our community, not just in our household, not just the whole world. We know a Savior who has the power to transform eternities in an instant. Why would we keep that to ourselves? Why can't we have to share it? We have to share it. But how?
Yeah.
And it gives us an instruction here. It says, tell your story. Tell your story to anyone who will listen. You understand how to share the gospel because you have lived it. That's it. You have lived it. You know what Jesus has done for humanity because he did it in you. Mm-hmm. You understand how Jesus can change a person from the inside out because he did it to you, for you.
I'll read this. Matthew 28:18 through 20 is a very common passage among Christians. We refer to it as the Great Commission. This is where Jesus is about to ascend to heaven, and he gives his disciples one last commandment: go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. Jesus made it very clear what was expected of them and of us today. We cannot keep this good news to ourselves. Making disciples is sharing the gospel and letting God do all the hard work. It is not our job to save the lost, but to share the good news with those who are hurting and lost. God will do the rest. You want to take it?
However, something most people overlook is the last part of that verse. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. If there is one thing we should always remember, it is this: please know you are not in this alone. Pray and read your Bible every day. Allow this to be a lifestyle transformation. Join a community of fellow believers who will walk with you in this new journey. Practice sharing the gospel in your everyday life with anyone, and everyone who will listen. It may seem awkward at first, but with Jesus, all things are possible. You got this.
You got this.
That's it, man.
Yo,
That's it, man.
I still can't get over this.
Something just hit me. I just want to make this very simple and practical. It says, join a community of fellow believers who will walk with you. Mm-hmm. And then it says, practice sharing the gospel. Now, if you think about what the gospel is, it is the great news, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's the good news? The good news is how he did it in me and for me.
Yeah.
But personally, though, you know what I mean? Because if you want to talk about the business world or the speaking world or coaching, whatever, the way you connect people is by telling a story.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people want to hear that because it connects to them instinctually, emotionally. And once you connect to somebody, they feel in your story, then you can go and add in what the good news is really all about and how it transformed and how he transformed my life. And then people can go, oh, I can see how that happened. I can what did you go through? How did you and you can just keep talking, because I remember when me and you were talking, and I just thought it was fascinating how you could just constantly be like graceful and not really let things rock you. And I admired that. And I was like, you know what? I need that kind of patience,
temperament,
right? Especially with the kind of household I had, 9 kids, wife and a dog, so I need that temperament. And I constantly started to grow that and hear how you spoke, and then I would relate it to the word, and you would say, take this word, and I'll read it. Yeah. And then I would hear you talk about how you would deal with your children and your wife and your experiences, and I would take it, and you would give me a word, and it would just fill those gaps. And as I started moving in that, I started to see it started to work. And the way I knew it started to work is not just through me, but when I start seeing my kids and my wife start speaking and start responding in a way that I desired for them to. But when I was like, hey, look, we should probably do this and do that, and they was just like, yeah, ain't nobody trying to hear that. Because you off your rocker when something happened, right? But when you got to a point where you can be patient with us and you can show us that kindness and that unconditional love,
that's beautiful. I think that's a mature factor of you. I think when you're growing in Christ is that when you see a characteristic of someone and you covet that.
Oh, especially something that
because it's like, wow, Lord, like I need that, because when certain things are rare, I get rattled, and I didn't even know that I had that kind of demeanor with me. For me, I caught it early, is that I know that storms are coming. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I'm not saying I go seeking them, but I'm like how you say you could tell when it's raining. It's about to rain. People got an ache. They're like, oh, okay. I was waiting for this feeling. Yeah. It finally, came. And that goes with anything, like how long I'm kicking it with my wife. How long can I keep this certain money as savings? Eventually, something is going to rattle. Yeah. Something is going to shake. Yeah. And I remember I was watching this movie called Interview with God, and he said, and the guy said, he asked God, he said, can an atheist be a moral person? He said, yeah, but the world better not shake. So you don't really know someone till something happens. Right. You really don't. Right. Because when everything's smooth, you're like, but when something happens and shift, you're like, oh. But you're supposed to connect with that energy and pray, like, Lord, I'm bothered. Yeah. Right. I'm really bothered. Yeah. And I think I think that's a practice that we must have, because we cannot stop the storm.
No, definitely not.
We can't stop the storm.
Similarly, as Christians, we carry the hope of the world, and you read it twice, and I'm sitting
we carry the hope of the world.
We carry the hope of the world, and then you go down and it says, tell your story. Yeah. Tell your story to anyone who will listen. And this is why it's so important for us as believers to share our testimonies, to go out and share of the things that God has done for us in the midst of the storm. Yeah. We got to tell them that, because we carry hope for the world. They're going to go through so many things, and we all go through so many things, but my response to what I'm going through is different than yours. So if you want to be able to respond the way that I'm responding, let me tell you how. Let me tell you how it happened. Let me tell you how I found peace in the midst of the storm. Let me tell you how I was able to learn and grow my faith and trust in God in the midst of the storm. Because it's not just saying, oh, I believe you, God. No, that's not how it works. You don't just wake up one day and say, God, I trust you. Nah, you got to practice that.
Yeah, it's a relationship.
And you got, with new believers, not even new believers, you got to be detailed about the storm. You got to say, I know what it's like to have bills in this hand and the tithe in this hand, and I got to make a decision. Right. That's a storm. No, That's a real storm. Really, and I think we don't minister to people on many are the affliction of the righteous. Right. We be trying to minister to like Jesus or Santa. Right. And I think that's just a bad approach. And when you tell your story, the one thing I will always be grateful with God is that it's not so much of me telling my story. I always had a curiosity. Right. He put that in me. If it wasn't for my curiosity, when I first heard a sermon, I'd have just been like, but I was curious when he was preaching. And I was looking around the congregation. I'm like, all these people under one voice. I'm like, yo. I was curious.
Right.
Then I started reading. And when I started reading, and they taught me in discipleship, put yourself in the Bible. And I started reading. I put myself in there. I'm like, yo. Like light bulbs was
Eyes
going
open.
off.
Right,
Yeah.
My neurons was
Yeah.
firing off. I'm like, oh. Then I saw vulnerability. I saw transparency. I heard people telling me stuff about them, their wives, their certain behavior and stuff like that that was none of my business.
Right.
I'm like, oh, wow.
Mm.
Wow, I thought church was just a building.
Yeah.
No, this thing is a
Yeah.
movement
It's a
of people getting whole. And I was turned out.
We carry the hope of the
You
world.
know?
We carry the hope of the world, man.
But I think we need to tell people that it's okay to talk about the hardships of being
It
a
is.
Christian.
It definitely
Yeah.
is.
It's spiritual warfare, their
Yeah.
attacks and stuff like that. And I'm thankful for that curiosity.
Mhm.
Because if I wasn't curious, I'd probably still be leaning on my own understanding.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Get involved.
But that's the beautiful transition, man, or transformation, whatever you
Yeah,
want to call
yeah.
it.
But
This,
I can't get off of that. That last sentence in the first paragraph will say, but now it's also up to you to
Mhm.
help others
Mhm.
to join you on this new adventure.
Yeah,
And
man.
this new adventure it isn't great adventure. it ain't great adventure. We ain't it's gonna be some roller coasters.
Oh yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
it's
But what you get at the end of the coaster,
what you would
man.
gain,
What you
man.
gain at the end of it.
yeah.
what you would gain.
Yeah.
Because people want to hear the good stuff.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
we gotta make sure you
I
know
ain't
the
never
know
like-
the bad stuff
He gave
too.
me curiosity.
Because
man.
all roller coasters ain't smooth. Some of them hurt.
Nah.
Some of them have you with whiplash.
Yeah. Yeah.
You still come out of it. You know what I mean? You could come out of it greater in this journey, in this adventure we're on as believers. It's a journey, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
you learn so much through the journey. You grow so much through the journey.
Right.
You get so many experiences and stories that you can share with everybody else.
Right.
And ultimately, that's why we're here.
And there's benefits now, though.
Right.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
the other thing.
yeah.
People like it's not like the old insurance policy. What's the new insurance policy? The UIL or the Universal
yeah.
Insurance?
yeah.
Where you
Yeah.
get benefit from it now. You know, everybody promoting that. So it's
Yeah.
like, yo, you can benefit from it now.
Right
It's
now.
not just when you die.
Right.
You can benefit from the word today. You can benefit from relationship today. You can benefit
Facts.
from serving and being in groups
Yeah.
and being a part of the church
Right.
today.
Living better, yeah.
And that's the message that we want to get out, because like you said, man, yo, you see, we were at the 7-Eleven earlier and you saw some Jordans and it was like, yo, those Jordans is tight. If he heard us, he'd have been like, yo, I got these from
Yeah,
so and so.
yeah. He would've-
He'd have shared, yo, I
Yep.
got the link for you. What's your
Yep.
phone? You know, pull out your AirDrop, your phone,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's we real quick to share a good movie.
Right.
We quick to share a link to
Post or
something, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But when it comes to the word, are we as quick to share, and are we as consistent in sharing it as we would share a good movie or a good food or whatever it is?
I think that has to do with you being completely comfortable and confident in who you are in Christ.
Oh yeah.
Because if you're
Yeah.
not, then you're
Yeah.
not gonna want people to know you're a Christian. You're not gonna want people to. You're not gonna
Yeah.
post a scripture on your story
Yeah.
because then people gonna be like, oh wait, are you a Christian?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But when you're
yeah.
comfortable in it and you know who you are and you can just you're doing it and people are like, oh, that's what he does. He's a believer. He serves the Lord. So this is what he's all about. And you know what I mean? They'll either gravitate towards you or
Yeah.
go the opposite way.
I think it takes time to get there.
Yeah, it does.
Like
it does.
It took
definitely
time
does.
to
Yeah.
like, I always believe, and I would share scriptures and I would share things like that. But I don't think I would speak openly about
Mm-hmm.
my relationship as much as I do today. And I think it just had to do with, you know, I've been through my own moments where I've had to get on my knees and cry out and cry in a fetal position because, you know, literally the situation, ties or bit, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or repossession, and you know what I mean? Like all kinds of different things that you may have dealt with in your life and in my life. And it's not until you actually surrender, man, like and take the pressure off of trying to make it seem like you got everything together.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
are not carrying you're carrying the hope of the world. And that same hope that you have is the same hope that you can give others.
Right.
And I think that's the
I
beautiful thing about it.
I think what we need to talk about Jesus, because Jesus was beat, he was hung on a cross. It was an embarrassing sight.
Yeah.
and now he's resurrected,
Yeah.
and he has the keys to heaven. I mean, he said all authority has been given unto me. He's been promoted.
All.
How will people know how good God is if I don't tell what he brought me out of?
Right.
So if I got a house, car, respectful wife, all that, that's my sign of God is good. That's my sign.
That's such low hanging
like
fruit,
how
man. That's
there
such
are
low-hanging
cancer
fruit.
survivors, there are people who had tons of debt, and like there are people who kids went astray, and like I just think that we need to talk like because from the natural eye, Jesus went out like a punk, the beating, the whipping. I'm like, man, he don't look like Superman.
You
know?
Yeah.
But I think we try to leave from this area of I'm like this and I look like this and God is good. It's like, no, I want to know about your dark tunnels.
Yeah.
How'd you get out your dark tunnels? I was listening to Steve Harvey had an interview and he said, man, he got a call from like all these billionaires that wanted to hear him speak, like do like a little workshop. And Steve said, man, I was so insecure. He was like, man, I'm Steve Harvey. I know I tell little jokes. I ain't that funny. Anything I got going on is God. And he was like, we want to talk to you. And he was like, man, I got to ask you, man, why do y'all want me to come? They said, Steve. He said, we're all billionaires. We're all millionaires. All of us had like a 3-generation head start. It was already systems and stuff in place for us to get here and honor this tier. He said, we don't know what it's like to live homeless for 3 years and come out and you're trending more than everything.
Right.
Yeah.
We want what you got. None of us never been homeless. We can't even. And Steve was like, I just got to go talk about God. They was like, we'll talk about God then.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo,
That's
y'all
amazing.
all. And he said, I'm sitting in this room, all these people that control so much.
Yeah.
And they want to tap into what I tapped into.
Yeah.
But that's
And I said,
you-
wow, Steve.
You said something powerful though, because Steve he's doing the work
Yeah, yes.
and he gives God the glory all the time. And I think that's one of the things that we miss as Christians too, is that we always have to suffer.
Right.
Right? Like we
yeah,
always
that
have to suffer.
that-
Yeah, it's
yeah.
always suffer.
Yeah.
But yo, you can do right? You can do the works. You can have the faith. You can work out every single thing that God has promised you and actually live and get the benefits today.
Right.
And as you live.
Yeah.
And I just think that some of us are so caught up in this struggle mentality. Like the struggle, like we glorify the struggle.
Yeah,
And they want to hear
And they
Steve
wanna
struggle.
hear it.
They paying.
Right.
They want to.
Right.
No, they want to hear how you got out.
How you
the-
got out of it.
Yeah.
They ain't glorifying what you in. They
Nah.
want to know how
They
you
like,
got
how
out of
did
it.
you go
Right.
from like we can't
Right.
believe that you lived in a car.
Right.
Like I think if Jesus was here today, he would be a Tyler Perry. The parables that I think he would paint so many different. There once was a rich man that owned it. Like he would be a director. He would have to be, because
That's what he did.
dropped a lot of game through parables. So I
Yeah.
think if he was here today, we would have to teach Jesus Church, worship, prayer, sermon, altar call. He'd be like, y'all call. Like I ain't roll like this. Like
That's
how do
big.
like he would
That's
like, you
big.
know what? I'll be a film director. I'll drop game.
Let me show
I'll
you
walk
how to
in
do it.
miracles. Yeah, I'm gonna give Caesar what Caesar. Like he would just be
Yeah.
like, they'd be like, yo, you going to church? He probably be like, maybe, because that like when I go in there, it just people so like
Yeah.
because he was so liberated
Yeah.
that if
Yeah.
Jesus
Rock
come in
Steve,
with like
yeah.
3 strippers, they be like, but he be like, yo, you don't understand this movement.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People, nah, I
Like, yo,
never
I did it for
asked
them
you.
too.
He said, I never asked you to change then come.
I just want you to come.
He said, come,
just
and
come.
then you know you'll change
So
as you
I
go
can
out.
change you. Yeah, yeah.
No, that's good, man.
Man, that's crazy, man.
That's
because
good.
this 1, 2, 3. This thing says that paragraph that says Jesus made it very clear. This the part that's liberating me. It said, it is not our job to save the lost.
Yeah.
Just right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is not our job to
Yeah.
save the lost, but the what?
Share.
Share the good news.
Yeah.
It says letting God do all the hard work.
And it says those who are what? Hurting.
Hurting and lost.
Like, how you gonna be both? And it said it's not our job to save the lost, but to share. And we all know somebody
That's
hurting.
heavy.
We all know someone who's lost.
I remember hurting.
You know?
But I thank God I was never lost. thankfully, I was never.
Yeah, I was lost, man.
Yeah, I was lost.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I was lost.
now I could say it because where I'm at now, cause I try to talk to men and women who I encounter, cause I work with grief every day. However, this society is such a microwave generation, and I'm talking about the older people, 40s, 50s, 60s. They want, they'll see a certain act or demeanor or position that I take. I'm like, go ahead, just lose it. No, so what? Yeah, it's money. No, let them have the last word. They like, I can't let that slide. I'm gonna lose my whole life. And where has that gotten you?
Right.
What are you trying to? What
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I gotta and I just be like, yo. And then when it comes to the funeral business, people will pay anything. They hear their grandmom, their parents one more last time. They would pay for anything. And it's just like, this is the time to do the 180 and do it this way. And it's like, nah, It's like a disconnect, a mental. I don't know, but Jesus' moves are like cowardly because people. That's the strength when you die to self and say, you know what,
Good.
our flesh is like Malcolm X by any means necessary, but the spiritual side is like Dr. King. Send the Rock Wallace to us, spray the hoses, peaceful protest.
Yeah.
And I think Jesus said it. He's like, no one took my life. I gave it up.
Yeah,
Like that's
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Nah,
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah. That's powerful.
But this right here, that's not our job to save. I think that's heavy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's good though, because you can take that pressure off of yourself. Take that pressure off yourself. You don't gotta worry about saving people. Just share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that goes
Just
back to
share.
what you were saying about the water bottles and the dudes doing the demolition. It's like,
Just
yo,
share.
just take the pressure off yourself and stop trying to be this Bible
Yeah.
Bible thumping Christian and just do life with people, man. And
And when you gain that relationship with God for yourself and it's personal, when you begin to share, God will give you your own unique way to do it.
oh yeah. I'm glad you said
And
that.
that's the
I'm
best
glad you
part.
said
I
that.
love the way that God gives me things and then shows me how to deliver it to the people.
I like
love
how
it.
you be doing on the
It's-
social
it's- I
medias.
love it.
You
It's
do
fun.
them TikToks and stuff.
Yeah, it's fun,
Yeah, man.
but it's,
Yeah.
he gives me the word and I give it the way he literally
Yeah.
do it like this. I'm just following
Yeah,
his direction.
Yeah, you make it fun. You make it bite sized. That's not my lane. You know what I'm saying? But I love how you do it because it's something that I can, like, show my kids or show others and be like, yo, like that was good. Like I like how you broke that down. So
That's
Yeah, I
the
don't
story.
struggle either with having a trained ear to hear. And when I say I give God the glory, I really give him the glory because I can hear someone who never profess Christ and they say something impactful and I'm like, Lord, I hear you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
You know?
God
And they be like,
knows.
oh, why would you repost what he or she? And they like, they don't. And it's like, man, like it's
Why is-
like
why
I
is that
can't
your
even
fault?
like. Well, you
Process.
wasn't never an unbeliever before.
Wisdom is
You
wisdom.
were
Yeah,
never
right,
because
right.
and I could call some guys from when I was young. They was like, yo, you been giving game
Mm-hmm.
when we was 14, 15.
Wow.
Like, yeah, and I wasn't nowhere near thinking about Christ. I'm like, what's a Christ? A sandwich? What's a Christ? So
Right.
it's like I could hear stuff now. And they're like, wow, you repost something that I don't know, Shaq, Fat Joe said, and blah blah blah. It's like, look, they giving God glory. What well, that God could be Muhammad. It's like,
That's a whole nother thing.
it,
right?
and I just like if I be like, yo, if it can help me, because I know for a fact, I know me.
Yeah.
If there's an atheist or someone that's a Buddhism or something like that, and they can give me some game to help me economically, I may treat them better.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I need to treat everybody. Why? Because you did something for me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But some people, they just want Christian. They came to Jesus one time and said they over there using the name. He's like, if they ain't against us, they for us.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a lot of man-made, and we got to press through that. And I'm thankful that we're on here doing life because you got to be reminded. And if you're not reminded, life will hit your household
Oh, yes.
to remind you who
Yes,
Lord is.
sir.
And you ain't even think about all that other rhetoric.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir. You get drawn right back to that.
You be like,
word.
you know what, Lord? Let me get back on. I'm sitting
Yeah.
here talking about this and that and this
Yeah.
and that. It's like,
Yeah, we all sitting here right now because we all raised our hand.
Yeah. Because you even said it. You said one of the guys that you know, unfortunately got stabbed,
Mm-hmm.
and then he called
Yeah.
you up and was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Yo, man, pray for me." And it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
people know,
They know.
people know.
Everybody
You know what I mean?
feels.
They know. You know. So it's just a matter of getting the right exposure
Right.
and drop, constantly dripping on them and not expecting them to just move when we want them to move,
Right.
but when God will move
Exactly.
in
Yeah.
life. So
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
just
because it's funny. We haven't been here for like a month, and when you post a story, you're able to see who see your story. Everybody, like when I occasionally go in and look, everybody who look at my story, none of them are church followers, but they are on there consistently. Why? And I'm like, man, I ain't see him. I ain't talked to him. Man, she watching.
I keep posting.
Yo, and
too.
I'm like, none of them.
Mhm.
And what's weird with the stories is, it's weird. Like when I look at it, you get to see it be the same person.
Yeah.
Like, so they watch
All
all
of
of
them.
them.
Mhm.
Like, so basically, I know y'all not believers. I know y'all. I know what y'all into because I see y'all stuff. But by you watching this goes to show you, like, because you ain't got to watch it.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
But I could see one person and they on, because I think a story stay up for a day. And I'm like, they'll watch it. And I'm like, wow. Because if it's something I don't want to see, I don't even, I don't even,
Yeah.
But it's like, wow, y'all staying on there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
And
that's a good thing though, because especially for us, I know for me, I'm intentional with it too, because I want to make sure that I'm giving you something that can make you think throughout the day. So and it's like this is me, because when I was talking about that earlier, like not being confident enough to share who I truly am with the people that I know, but I'm too old for that now. I don't care. This is me, y'all.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
I'm posting, I'll talk about God all day.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
what it is. I might
Yeah.
post some other stuff too, but listen, my mindset is always constantly thinking about God all day, every day, the things He's done for me, and how I can help give back because of the things He's done for me and how good He's been to me. So,
Yeah, it's amazing his love,
Mhm.
how he makes it so personal.
Yeah.
Because it hurt me saying what I just said about social media, because I wasn't brought up and raised. I ain't had no godly influence, and everybody I could think from, like people from back from high school, around the neighborhood, cousins, my mom, like grandparents, like no one. I am that diamond in the rough, and I have a lot of cousins and family that follow. And I'm like, yo, like they know me, and it's like I ain't got no one who I can hit up and be like none, like I ain't, like, so it's amazing. I'm saying all this like, yo, y'all only doing it because y'all know me because of where we
Right.
once came, but it's like it ain't even like I can name like a handful of people like that's on this trajectory,
Right.
and it's like, Lord, why me?
Yeah.
God playing for you.
You know, but
Sometimes
I'm
this walk
thankful.
can be a lonely one.
No, it really is, because
Sometimes this walk can be a lonely one, But
Nah,
but
it's-
it's worth it, man.
It's definitely worth it.
it's very
It's
lonely,
Absolutely
man.
worth it.
Man, I really.
I'm
I
thankful
truly
for that
hope
curiosity.
This plan encouraged our viewers, man. We really hope that this plan encouraged you guys
Yeah.
to raise your hand if you haven't already. Get involved in the church. Start seeking God
Yeah,
more.
I
Praying
raise
more,
my hand.
fasting more. Just trying to find purpose. Trying to find your purpose and going to God about it. Yeah, man. It's
Becoming
it's
the
good.
church and getting the community.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The church is a people, man.
Yeah, people, man.
You know, why would we keep that to ourselves? We can't. We
Can't.
have to share it.
Got to share it.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame to hold it all in. It really would
And
be a disservice.
I think ultimately, and we can end it on this. When I say tell your story, I think the hard part about telling your story is that it's hard to tell your story without exposing someone else. You know, a lot of us are the result of our parents' ignorance. And if I tell my story, I'm going to talk about my mom. I'm going to talk about my brother. I'm going to talk about my previous marriage. I'm going to talk about how someone was inappropriate with me, and like about all the things I've been through and the dark racism, whatever. But it's my story.
Yeah.
But yet Jesus sprinkled something on it, and now I'm able to share it. And I'm not bashing anybody. It's my story.
Your story.
And I'm sorry I have to talk about this particular person or this guardian or my grandparents or someone ain't do this or someone ain't do that, but it's like, isn't that what makes me here? If I have any regrets, I would say I would become born again sooner. But in the same sense, it's like I probably needed all of that.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to relate to others.
I probably needed that to become who I am now. So by me telling my story, I'm not bashing nobody. This is my story. Like, and if you try to take my story, I think I will have a problem with you, because that ain't fair.
Wow.
Oh, well, cut that out. We'll edit that out. Or blah blah blah. And it's like, no, this is my story.
What makes me.
This is my story.
Yeah.
And and I think some people are ashamed of their story, whether they was a foster kid, whether they was molested, whether they was done dirty, or whether they were robbed, or whether they, handicapped, or whatever. I think people like, man, I can't talk about that.
Yeah.
I gotta keep up this image, but it's like, no, your story is what makes you unique. And when I heard that Steve Harvey thing, I was just like, wow, he wouldn't have never thought by him being homeless for 3 years, he was standing in front of billionaires saying, look, we don't know how to connect with the pain and live. And he was like, well, let me tell you about my God.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good too.
And he said, and they were like,
is when you find God and he heals you from all of that.
Yeah.
Then you could go tell somebody else about it.
And I want to speak to the flip side of that real quickly, because there's some people that feel like, man, I don't have that painful story. I had mom and dad. I grew up in the church. But they feel like they need to self-sabotage to create a painful story.
Yeah, that's bad.
Right?
That's bad.
So that they can relate, right? You don't need to do that.
You shouldn't compete stories.
You shouldn't do that. And you should embrace your story. Embrace who you are. Embrace who God created you to be, and embrace who your family taught you to become, because when you try to go against what God is trying to do in your life, that means that there's generations of people that have learned from their pain to put you in a better position. And you know
what's so funny about that? You know what's so crazy about everything you just said? Just be a Christian. You're gonna have a story.
Oh yeah.
While you in the storm, forget all that. If your upbringing, if you ain't was touching appropriately, if you ain't get exposed to porn, if you ain't see alcohol, get saved.
Yeah.
Get saved. And let's see what happened next summer. Right. Like you'll be like, yo, over these past 12 months, let me tell you something, man.
Yeah, man. Because
I had to forgive the nurse. I had to if you get saved, you're gonna get a story.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're not exempt. You're not exempt. Trust me, you're not exempt.
Some people are like, man, everything was fine, but once I turned 27, it seemed like I ain't control nothing.
That's my story.
It's like, man, I had this, I had that, and all of a sudden, it's it's funny. Farron means so much to me. I love her so much. She means so much to me, and I just came and just disrupt her whole life. I think I want to say when she met me, she was either 29 or 30. I don't know. I got to check my math. But from then, since she met me up until today, she has a level of Christianity that she never knew exists. And the best compliment I received from my wife was we was on a call before Abraham's baby dedication. It was me, her, and my pastor on a Zoom or something. And he was saying, he asked her, how you been doing? Or how Alex treating you? Or how's your walk? Or what was the beginning like? What was Christianity? And she said, Alex was the embodiment. He was the example. And I just held that phone like, wow. Like that, what a great compliment. Like he showed what this walk is really like. And if she had a perception of what Christianity is, me and the Lord blew her whole .com. Like if she had any, me and the Lord blew her whole .com up. But for her to say that, she wasn't lying to the pastor.
Right.
But she just was like, yo, he really walks this stuff. He walks, and me, I'm sitting there like, wow. I just thought that was phenomenal, and I think that this walk is not for the weak.
No.
No, it's
But
not
you
for
don't gotta
weak.
do it by yourself. Just
Mm-mm.
like we learned
You
tonight.
shouldn't do
Yeah.
it by yourself.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
Right.
Raise your hand and seek that help. So
That's it.
if this resonated with you guys, please comment, share, and definitely subscribe, because we've been doing this for some time now. We just want to share the good news. We just want to share
And have
the
fun
hope.
doing it.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun, and we're gonna start showing that too, man. We gotta start showing the life that we
we
do
got some
outside
vlogs.
of being here. But definitely make sure y'all check us out, subscribe, go to the Apple Podcast. We on Spotify, Facebook, everywhere. YouTube.
IG.
Type in "Doing Life with the Word," do life with the Word, and we will pop up. And yeah, do some life with us. You know, tell us what y'all got going on. Any challenges? Any
Prayer
great
requests.
testimonies? Anything? What's going
Yeah.
on with y'all? We trying to do life
Yeah,
with
let's
you
do
all.
it.
Let's
Let's
build
do
this
it.
community, and let's continue to share the good news.
Love y'all.